Super. Wir ringen hier um jede Minute, deshalb fangen wir einfach eine Minute früher an. Herzlich willkommen, meine Damen und Herren. Saidatu Bisadati. Hello, good morning. Herzlich willkommen hier auf der Leseinsel der unabhängigen Verlage. Und wir müssen wirklich mal Dankeschön sagen hier an die Kurt-Wolf-Stiftung und an die Frankfurter Buchmesse, dass sie uns hier wirklich im Halbstundentakt tolle Möglichkeiten geben, Autorinnen kennenzulernen und ins Gespräch zu kommen und vor allem Dingen zu zeigen, wie vielfältig die unabhängigen Verlage sind, was sie alles entdecken. Und einer dieser unabhängigen Verlage ist der Orient Verlag, Edition Orient heißt er genau, der uns Entdeckungen auch aus der arabischen Welt präsentiert, zum Beispiel aus Sudan und Südsudan. 2 Staaten gezeichnet von Krieg und Gewalt, von Hunger und Elend. Und diese Frau hier, die wir heute hier zu Gast haben, die ist die Stimme dieser Menschen, die literarische Stimme und die Autorin eines Erzählbandes, aus dem wir auch gleich ein bisschen lesen möchten, ganz kurz, nämlich Endlose Tage am Point Zero. Und es ist eine wirklich sehr berührende, tiefgründige Sammlung von Erzählungen, Short Stories, die einen ja mitnimmt in diese Situation, die schrecklich ist, die aktuell auch wieder sehr, sehr brisant ist, aber die sie so gut und mit großer Menschlichkeit in Worte fasst. I'm talking about you, Stella, right? Please welcome, sagen Sie herzlich willkommen, Stella Gaitano, unsere Autorin. Und wir haben eine Frau hier, die Menschen wie Stella Gaitano unterstützt. I'm very happy to welcome one of the persons who gave and still give, as I understand correctly, Stella support, and a lot of other writers from the Arab world who were forced to leave their countries. Please welcome from Weiter, Schreiben, the platform for literature from war and conflict zones, Dima, Albitar, Kalaji. You both prefer to speak English, so we continue in English in the dialogue, but we will read as well in Arabic and German some paragraphs. So take a seat and enjoy the chance to talk to these both women. Stella, I have to introduce you. You were born in Khartoum, Sudan, spent most of your life there, but there was suddenly a point in your life story that you became a foreigner in Sudan. When was it and why?
First of all, thank you for coming here and give me your time to listen to me and to my story, a story of my country. Sudan was one of the biggest countries in Africa till 2011. In 2011, Sudan has been split to 2 countries, Sudan and South Sudan. And at that point, all people from South Sudan became a foreigner and they lost their nationality and they're supposed to leave from North to South Sudan.
Your parents were from South Sudan originally.
Yes.
So you never saw the country before?
No, that was
or the part of the country?
Yes.
And suddenly, what happened to you? How did they treat these people like you?
Yes, suddenly the government said all people who have South Sudan origin supposed to leave the country to go to their new country. And that's why we lost all our documents, passport, nationality, and we come like stateless people.
So we are not checking passports today, but she has a South Sudanese passport, even when she came from Sudan. After a while, we will finish this personal story later on. How many people had to leave in 2011? Do you know this?
Millions, because before there was a civil war in South Sudan, and so people from South, they are displaced to Sudan. And then there are millions of people, and they're all lost their nationality, and they're supposed to leave.
And currently we have a very same situation. There are also millions of people leaving Sudan again because of the current war. I got some new figures from United Nations just published last week that there are almost 10.5 million people who had to leave country. or their place inside of the country. It's around about 2 million who left the country to Egypt and Chad and so on. And which is very important, that there is the biggest hunger crisis of the world currently. It's a humanitarian disaster. Almost 26 million people are suffering by hunger and diseases, which makes the situation, which we would like to describe again at the border, a little bit or nearly the same like in former times, right?
Yes, because now there is a war in Sudan, and it's 1 year and a half now, and also the same disaster. It is like repeat itself one and more and another, and people are suffering and displaced and have these humanitarian problems.
One of your short stories is describing, I said our short stories because we would like to present it now, is describing the situation of those who are stuck at the border at the point zero. Point zero sounds like a metaphor, but it was real. It was real, this name, right?
Yes, it's a place between south and north, and they call it zero because it's the place that South Sudan is end, and then South Sudan supposed to start, and they name this strange name to that place.
I think we should start your story, and we do it in little paragraphs so that we are switching between the languages quite quickly. You don't have to wait for longer.
أنا ما زلت عالقاً بين حدود الشمال والجنوب. في كل مرة نتجه جنوباً ولا نصل أبداً إلى أن أعلن الطريق بأن رحلتنا انتهت بانتهاء الشارع المسفلت. انتهاء مفاجئ وقاس، كأنه تلقى أمراً حاسماً بالتوقف وإعلان بداية جديدة لدروب بدت خطواتها الأولى بين الحشائش الطويلة وجذوع الأشجار. كان الوصول المفاجئ لانتهاء الطريق المعبد في مكان أطلق عليه اسم زيرو.
Seit Jahren stecke ich zwischen Nord- und Südsudan fest. Wir sind dem Süden zwar näher gekommen, aber wir erreichen ihn nicht. Unsere Reise endete mit der Asphaltstraße, wie auf geheimen Befehl, aber hier gibt es nur noch Wege durch Gras und Baumsteppe. Hier ist der Point Zero, ein launischer, mehrdeutiger Name, der auf einen Anfang oder ein Ende hinweisen kann. Die Straßen aus dem Norden brechen ab und es beginnen die Staubpisten des Südens. Point Zero, ein ebenso kluger wie tückischer Name. Die Null bezeichnet ein Nichts, ein schwarzes Loch, das meine Hoffnungen und Träume verschluckt. Mein Verstand streikt. Das abrupte Ende der Straße wirkt auf mich wie ein Schreckenswesen, dem man hier an der Grenze den Schwanz abgeschnitten hat.
كنت وحيداً رغم أنني لم أكن وحدي، فهناك الدجاجات القذرات تنكأن الأرض حولي بحثاً عن الديدان والحب، وهنا كومة من الصحف القديمة ألوك أخبارها المهترئة عندما أريد أن أقرأ شيئاً، والكثير من الصور، صور لأطفالي في مراحل عمرية مختلفة، صور لأسرتي أثناء الأعياد، صور مع زملاء العمل، الصور حياة نجمدها في قطعة من ورق مقوى سرعان ما نعود إليها لمجرد تصفحنا لإهداها.
Ich bin einsam. Allein bin ich nicht, denn um mich herum scharren schmutzige Hühner in der Erde nach Würmern und Körnern. Wenn ich mich ablenken will, greife ich mir eine alte Zeitung aus dem Stoß von Papieren, um längst überholte Nachrichten zu lesen. Dabei stoße ich auf Fotos von meinen Kindern in verschiedenen Altersstufen, Familienfotos von Feiertagen und Bilder mit Arbeitskollegen. Ein ganzes Leben, festgehalten auf dünnem Karton, zieht beim Blättern vor meinen Augen vorbei.
تغير كل شيء، المدينة، الناس وأطفالي، حتى تيريزا شعرت بها صلبة تعرف ما تفعل. الأطفال صاروا شبابا ينادونني بابا، إلا رحيل كانت تناديني أنكل، عمي، وهو الاسم البديل لرجل غريب.
Jetzt muss ich kurz mal erklären, we jumped a little bit in the story. After a long while of waiting at point zero, this man is coming back to his family. Die Stadt, die Menschen, meine Kinder, alles hat sich verändert. Auch Theresa, seine Frau, scheint zäher als früher zu sein und weiß, was sie will. Die Kinder sind herangewachsen und nennen mich Baba. Nur Rahil nennt mich Onkel. Hammu, die höfliche Anrede für einen fremden Mann. Thank you, Stella. Dima, Stella told me Dima was the one who discovered me from Germany, from the far away. Tell me, when did it happen?
Well, one of my work tasks in Weiter Schreiben as the Arabic writing authors curator is always to look for authors that we can cooperate with. And back then I was looking for authors in Sudan because I also thought that we never hear of Sudan or what's happening there. And literature is very important way to know more about what's happening there. So I was in the search, and I was also asking the translator. And I ran through an initiative, it's a great initiative actually, that Stella was running in Sudan, and it's called Make a Difference with a Book. And it's actually people donating their books, and those books goes to other readers. And this is how I found you. And also the great translator Gunther Ort also told me about you. He translated one of her short texts for the International Literature Festival in Berlin. And this is how the connection was made, and she became one of our Weiter Schreiben network and authors.
So there is a question mark in some of your eyes, I see, because we have to explain. You went to Juba, you lived there, but then you start to do what you always did. You were criticizing mismanagement, you were criticizing restrictions, being inhuman with people, taking money from those who need the money. And they didn't like it so much in both countries.
Yes.
So you went back to Sudan. When was it?
Yes, after the South Sudan got independent in 2011, I moved to South Sudan, and then in 2015, I forced to leave the country, and then I moved back to Sudan, and I lived there until I came here to Germany.
Yes, because it continues the story. We do it in a very, very short version. You really have to look up what Stella, you said to me when we first met for an interview for my radio program. You said, I lost my home twice, or even 3 times at the end, right?
Yes, and at the end, I become a person, like Baraka said, a person without country.
Yeah.
Because I know Sudan is my country, but now I lost both of them, and I can't live in Sudan or South Sudan. And for me, it is really very painful.
Mm-hmm. You are a writer in exile, a writer now? And
now, yes, I want to send my thanks to PEN, Deutschlandzentrum, because they taking care of me and give me a scholarship here in Germany for 3 years. And now I am here as a writer in exile program.
Yeah, and she's so polite, and so she never talks about the extreme situations she lived through. She was really attacked, she was threatened, there were death threats also, so she had to leave. So it was a big help of PEN in 2022. How helpful was it to know people like Dima before you came?
Yes, I was one of those who I didn't think that one day I supposed to leave my country, whatever happened. And then I was like changing between South Sudan and Sudan. When it's harder for me in South Sudan, I moved to Sudan. When it's harder, I moved to South Sudan. And I was in between those countries. And then when there was a revolution in Sudan, and then during the revolution and the era is fall, and then there was really very good 2 years in Sudan, and we do this initiative as you told. And then there is a military coup. Yep. And the very thing that they did, they start to threat activist people and kidnap them or arrested them or forced disappeared them. And that was what I was received, strange call, threatening calls and something like that. Then the first one, I think, was Dima. I sent her a message that, Dima, I am really in very hard situation and I need to go away or to go somewhere to seek for security.
Yes.
So, and I think Dima and some of also Sudanese writer who is in diaspora, they helped me to apply for scholarship or, yeah.
Dima, you have to explain me Weiter Schreiben. What is it exactly? When did you start this project and who are you working for in general?
Well, Weiter Schreiben is a platform for authors from conflict areas. It was established in 2017. We have a network for more than 60 authors, and if you also calculate the tandem, then it's more than 100.
From all over the world.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. We concentrate at the moment for authors in exile, like now in Germany, but we had also projects with other countries where they are still living in their countries, like when we had Stella back then. We translate texts, we publish them on our website. We make readings, we try to connect authors with journalism and with also publishing houses. So basically introducing authors to literary scene in Germany, because it's of course very different. And being an author in exile is not really just enough just to continue writing. You also to be translated, you also need to be read, you also need to establish a whole new network for you. And this is where actually Weiter Schreiben was really trying to do.
You are one of the curators. You do several things. You're from Syria originally. Yeah. So does this help that you know the special situation of somebody leaving country and leaving the home?
Yes.
Forced?
Yeah, I had to leave Syria also myself because of my political position against Assad regime. And I came here with a project to support the new media in Syria, and then I had to stay. I was also one of the authors in Weiter Schreiben for a short time. So
you do lyrics as well, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So you are colleagues at the end, finally. But I think this could help because you can also feel and you know the situation, right?
Exactly, yeah. I understand, of course, every person has their own experience, but I can understand how hard it is. Yeah.
I think we know each other quite for a while, but we as German Kartoffels wouldn't ever follow what is a culture shock if you come to Germany, right?
Yes, it was really, everything was strange, and the taste of food and the weather and the language, and I can't understand anything, and I have really very funny stories in the Bahnhofs, and I can tell it for something like when I have event somewhere else and I'm supposed to travel, and then I don't know, when they speak, they change the platform, and I didn't understand what happened. Then suddenly I found people take their luggage and run. I just take my luggage and run after them. So I found that they were announcing that the platform was changed, but I didn't know. And that was, it's really very tough time. But now...
But give me a hint. These are we all know a culture shock, Deutsche Bahn. This is a special chapter in life. But tell me, After all this was just so shocking, so it's psychoterror. How did you manage it to continue writing, as you said in the project, Weiter, Schreiben, so the name is program, as we say in German. So how could you manage this?
I really don't know, but for me, writing is like my comfort zone. Writing is giving me security.
Okay.
And whenever I face risk or face danger, I can just focus on writing. And that's why, this book, I wrote it after the civil war in South Sudan, and after heavy genocide in South Sudan, people was targeting by doors and they killed them. And I was really terrified. And then after that, I wrote this short story to tell.
So you really sat down, writing helped you?
Just to focus, and because I don't want to think about what could happen to me or to my children or to my siblings. So writing is I need something to focus in, so to not being terrified.
Dima, is this common? Can we say this is typical in inverted commas, because all these stories are so unique you never could compare?
I think it's different from one author to the other. I mean, for example, in Weiter, Schreiben, when it was established, we decided that we're not going to ask the author to write about anything or any theme, because many of authors in exile, they have the problem of cornering in with certain themes, like they need to talk about or write about their experience in war, and some of them are not ready to share or not willing to share. And of course, this is an author choice. So we didn't ask any author to write about anything. And then still many of the texts that we had, it was handling the war, the exile, the first days, how everything is difficult. Because, of course, it's a life-changing experience and it comes a lot. Many of the authors also went into a writer block and they couldn't write anything for a while. This changed. I mean, now, after many years in Weiter, Schreiben, if you go through the website and see the first text of some authors, and until now, you can see how their experience actually was changing through the time, from the very vivid memories of war, for example, or the first days in Germany and how difficult it was, and how then the new life is becoming more and more, and then new themes are coming into the text. Yeah,
it's a development.
It's a development, yes, of course.
And you are there for talking, for organizing, like, for example, translators?
I'm the Arabic, as I said, like the Arabic writing curator. We have also a curator for Farsi, because we have authors from Iran and from Afghanistan. We also cooperate with authors from Ukraine. So we have different Weiter Schreiben grew to other authors and also to other projects too. We have also print magazine. We have projects called, this year we had a project called Weiter Schreiben Intervention, where we go to cultural institutions and we make readings, but the cultural institutions are not really related to literature. And we had actually Stella in our last intervention, which we made at the Historical Museum in Berlin.
Stella, you told me something that was very private, but you said that I may share it and may mention it, that you sometimes, if you look on the current situation, especially, that you feel something like, I feel guilty. Can you describe this for me? This is also something which is very important, because you made it in inverted commas. You live in exile now, and there are so many, even colleagues and other people who do not.
Yes, I can say that it is the feeling guilty of someone who is survived and the other not. And it is really very, very painful situation. And sometimes I ask myself, what is special about me to get a chance to go away and don't face all these atrocities, while my sisters, my neighbors, my friends who are still there. And it's really very, very, very tough feelings, and that Like you think that you don't deserve to survive while your beloved is still there. And that's what, it's dark thinking, but I think I can also think positively that I'm here because I have responsibility to be a voice for people who didn't have voice. Or if I didn't be here, I didn't come here to talk to people, maybe no one can hear about what is going on in my country and what is people facing there. Mm.
Dima, is this a feeling a lot of your writers shares, that they have the feeling they should be like ambassadors of their country here, voices of the oppressed in their home
yeah, I think
countries?
The survival guilt that Stella was talking about is visible between many of the authors, and actually between many of the people who survive, regardless if they were authors or not. Authors have the chance to communicate with other people, to talk about their experience, and they do have this feeling of being ambassadors, and sometimes they are asked, even if they're not ready or want to be these ambassadors. Exactly. Because talking also about these experiences, it's also the person has to be ready to communicate with their traumas again and what they have went through. And sometimes people don't always have the sensitivity of talking about this.
That's why we talked about it before.
Exactly.
Could we mention this or not? A very important question. We go in the last minutes. How would you define this literature? Some people talking about exile literature, but I feel it's also part of German literature because we welcome her and we want to give her the support to publish and to make our literature more diverse.
I mean, exile was always part of literature, and it's always going to be, especially in the world that we're living in at the moment. And it's actually, you can't really separate it from the culture on the literature scene that's now happening. It's part of the world that we are living in. It's part of the German cultural scene. Those people are bringing a lot to the cultural scene in Germany and make the themes that they are emphasizing temporary, or it's just related to what's happening now in the country or something like this. It takes a lot of the lively literature scene in Germany, I believe.
Yes, you enriched us. And I have to say, the translation of her short stories from Stella Gaitano were published this year, Endless Days at Point Zero, and in June the book was #1 on Weltempfängerliste from Litprom. You're nominated, congratulations. And just this week you were nominated as well with your first novel, Edo So, for the Warwick Prize for Women in Translation. So let's celebrate this. It's to celebrate work from women writers from across the globe, artfully translated. So you may use a chance. Our publisher is at the other end of, yes, the one who's doing this. So congratulations to this. And I've heard you continued with Weiter, Schreiben. You finalized your second novel?
Yes.
Yes, another surprise?
Yes, I finalized my second novel here in Germany during my exile. And also it was my comfort zone because I was, where am I? And what is this new language? And I can't talk, I can't communicate.
And she even speaks a good German.
You're supposed to write. Ja. Und jetzt, ich kann Deutsch und ich kann gut verstanden und kann mit allen gut reden und das ist sehr gut.
Beim nächsten Mal. So, which is very important. You know where you've got the chance to have a look in the book and to take it home, please.
And I will sign it.
She will sign it as well. Thank you so much, Stella. But Dima, we have to link to the link now. You have to tell us, where do we find all these Weiter Schreiben stories and also lyrics and texts? Where can we find this?
You can find them on our website, weiterschreiben.jetzt. It will give you all the information. You can also send us an email and we can send the print magazine for you. We have a podcast. Every information you need are on the website.
This is also enriching literature as well, that you bring, to give the chance, even if there are not yet books published or printed, that you have this online.
Yeah, and it's really supported some of the authors to go through and print their first German books, because we have almost like more than 15 authors that they managed to print their first book here in Germany.
Dima, Albitar, Kalaji from Weiter, Schreiben, Berlin, thank you so much. And
Thank
Stella
you.
Gaitano, thank you for having.